today's show, we're leaving gaming behind and start talking Pixar films. And we're catching up on the new episode of Loki. So join us for a brand new episode of Podcast Demastered. Alright, hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Podcast Demastered. Got a great show for you today. I'm your host, Ethan Meyer, and I'm joined by my two good friends, Chelsea and Wade. Guys, today we got a pretty interesting episode because we're talking more than just games. We're going to be talking Pixar films later on in the episode. But first, let's go ahead and start with our week in review. Episode 4, guys. Episode 4.
It's been a week apparently.
It's been a long week, as you can tell. What do you guys been doing?
In real life, I feel like we've been playing Subnautica a little bit, but you know,
right?
There's been enough storms here lately.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the country here, and it has been doing nothing but raining with a little bit of sunshine, and then a lot of rain, a little bit of sunshine, and more rain, and then top it off more
flooding.
Yeah, a lot of flooding. Chelsea, is it even raining over there where you're at?
Yes, it is. It's been raining off and on for the last couple days.
Yeah, it's been raining crazy over here. I was driving by, I don't even know what this building's called, but it's off of Forum, Wade. It's like some like building next to like Wilson's gym, and it was like underwater.
Oh, that whole area, the whole Wilson's area, is underwater.
There's just like people standing out there like taking photos, and it's like, you know, like a foot of water up on the doors.
Yeah.
It's been pretty gnarly. Which is a perfect reason to stay inside and play some video games.
That's kind of what I've been doing.
What have you been doing? What have you been up to?
Well, besides my usual Final Fantasy 14, the grind is so heavy right now. I just can't stop. I kind of jumped back into Stardew Valley a little bit this week. It was kind of it was more like a quiet, emotional week. So I just needed some quiet time with some Stardew. Got into modding a little bit and had a good time there.
Modding? Mm-hmm. Stardew has mods?
Oh, Stardew has a huge community of mods.
What? I had no idea.
Yeah, think like Skyrim levels of mods.
Oh, so there's
like tons.
Macho Man Randy Savage on a dragon planting tomatoes for you?
Maybe.
That's the Stardew Valley I want to play.
Hey, if you want it, I'm sure somebody's got it.
What sort of mods have you been doing?
Oh, nothing too crazy. Just stuff to kind of make the game flow a little bit more, speed up the progress a little bit, so you don't have to spend all your days like frantically trying to like survive and live. I've been putting a little more time into like building my actual farm with all of the items. I don't have to go get them. I can just access every item at the press of a button. So like the building aspect has been a lot easier.
Seems like the developing relationships would be easier as well if you have all the items.
Oh yes.
To make people fall in love with you and marry and everything else.
Yep, I have like a stack of like 999 of rabbit's foot in my backpack. You know, something that everybody loves except for Penny. Everybody but Penny loves them. She hates them. Is Penny
the one that's like the drunk?
No, she's the daughter of the drunk.
See, the drunk, that's who I was.
Oh, she's your best friend.
Yeah, that's who I was hooking up with in Stardew.
Good old Pam.
Pam, that's right. Bring her beers. You just find her at the local brothel and give her some beers. And...
Oh my god.
Yeah,
okay.
Pam's a good time.
Got it.
Pam's a good time.
Anyway.
Hey, she makes that community interesting. All right, everyone's got to have a Pam. Every town needs their Pam.
You're our Pam, Ethan.
We got our quote for the week.
Yes.
Other than those two things, I jumped into like a few like older games, but not enough to really talk about. But maybe next week.
Yeah. So you're in terms of Final Fantasy 14 grinding, is this grinding just because you're addicted to the game, or is it grinding to get prepped for, what is it, Endwalker? Is that what it's called?
Kind of both. There at the end of each expansion, there are things called relic weapons, and it's a weapon that you can get that looks super super cool, and is, if you do it the right way, will end up being like the strongest weapon that you can get for the expansion for your character. But it takes a lot of steps. Like, it's a thing that's spread out through the course of the entire like end game of an expansion.
Yeah.
And so I finally hit the point where I'm almost at the end of like the story quests involved with that. And once you finish it, like for your first weapon, like for your first job, everything that comes after that is a lot easier. But there's a lot of extra awful grindy stuff that you have to do the first time, which is what I've been trying to steadily work on, apart from just like leveling up new jobs and stuff like that.
Right. Awesome. What are some of the older games that were you just like perusing around Game Pass? Or were you just digging off your shelves?
Digging off my shelves. I picked up Chrono Cross.
Oh, nice.
Off of from Steam with the summer sale. And the old Naruto Naruto Ninja Storm games. Just kind of base fighter anime fighters. Lots of high energy stuff. I dug my Switch out for those, so little stuff.
Chelsea, what about you? What have you been up to?
Well, video game wise, it's just been Battlefield 5. That's it. I only played that. I did watch a lot of movies, but I don't know if I should mention that now.
Uh-oh.
Oh, folks,
Yes.
That's what we call a tease. All right, so I'm the Pam, Chelsea's the tease. Wait, by the end of this episode, we'll peg you down with something.
Yes.
Promise.
The diva.
Well, that's probably fair. That's probably fair.
I've known you long enough, so.
So,
Did you watch
since I'm the
any-
tease, well,
Yeah, since
what?
you're the tease.
What about you, Ethan?
Well, I watched a few movies myself that also are for later conversations. Gaming wise, I still been plugging away on Rage 2. Nothing really new to, I don't know. It's kind of the same as what I talked about last week. The game is super fun to play, but it's also just really dumb if you pay attention. If you're expecting anything that's beyond surface level.
We did start playing Halo.
We did start playing Halo.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
finally,
Wade,
we got it figured out.
Wade and I finally got the Master Chief Collection to work with campaign co-op, because we were having a lot of problems last time. We finally got it to work, so our goal is to play all the Halo games before Infinite comes out. So
Sweet.
It's going to be quite the marathon. I can't wait. A few of those games, it's been a long time since I've actually played. Like, I haven't played Halo ODST, and I haven't played Halo 3. Man, probably 10 years. Or
A
longer.
couple of them are completely new to me, so I'm excited just to get like the story front of it.
Yeah, we're not doing. Well, I guess we're doing like release order, not technical chronological order, because we're starting with like the very first, like Halo 1. We're not starting with Reach, which is like chronologically speaking the first game.
Oh
So.
man, that was a wild time getting started.
Oh yeah, right. It'd also be super weird playing the games in chronological order because the mechanics change, because they all came out in kind of different eras.
Yeah.
So like doing Reach, which added a bunch of gameplay mechanics and added sprint and all this other stuff, and then hopping over to Halo 1,
To
which has
1.
none of that. It would be a mess.
You get nothing. You don't get to sprint. You don't get to do jack.
Yeah, so I think it's probably for the best to play them in like release order.
Yeah.
Because then you get to see that like development progression. So,
Well,
yeah.
and it's
That's
the
cool.
same for Kingdom Hearts. Play them in
Yeah.
release order.
Well, I mean, we can talk about that later.
We will talk about that later, just not in this episode.
That's the perfect episode for when I'm, gone or sick or, there you go.
No, it's like we
No,
got you,
no,
buddy.
you need to be here for that. You need to
God.
listen.
Come on, Pam. Come on.
Yeah, moving on from irrelevant gaming. I did start a new another little indie game. I feel like my cadence is like I'll have like a big AAA project going, and then I like to have a little indie sprinkle. And so I started this game called Nowhere Prophet. It's on Game Pass. So, it's a card battler, but it's also got a little bit of like Oregon Trail mixed into it, where like the main like premise is it's post-apocalyptic. You are this prophet who stumbles across this like damaged machine that kind of gives you this garbled up message that kind of implies salvation if you can, make this journey to I can't remember where like the actual name for where you're going, but essentially it's this really long journey to find salvation. And you start this journey, you get all these followers to go with you, and that's kind of where the Oregon Trail mechanic comes in, because each like it's kind of non-linear in sense of like your chosen path. Like it's not like an open world game. It's literally just like you get a map and there's these branching directions you can go, and you pick a spot, and like your caravan or whatever starts going, and then like a pop-up will come up and it's like, oh, you ran into bandits. Do you want to fight them, or you want to try and hide? Do you want to try and flee? A bunch of different situational stuff like that pops up. Depending on what you choose, you can, if you enter battle, that's where like the card system comes in. And you have like 2 different decks of cards. You have your leader deck, which is all your like abilities that you as the prophet have. And then you have your follower deck, which is like all your, like your creatures and people and whatever that fight for you. And the battling system kind of works like Hearthstone, if anyone's ever played that. So like to like win the match, you actually have to like damage your leader to 0, and you as the prophet, like you start off with like a really high damage count because your damage carries over on your journey. Like it doesn't like reset every time you win. So that's kind of like where the difficulty curve comes in. So like early on, if you just get fucked up in a fight and you're down to like, I think you start with 30 health. And I think in my very first fight, I took like 8 damage, which the journey is extremely long. So already losing that much doesn't really bode well. But I don't know, I'm having a good time with it. I usually am not really into card battlers because they're all kind of the same at the end of the day. Like most card battlers is literally just a card battler. You get your deck, you play against another player or the computer, and then, that's it. But the fact that this one has like a cool narrative, the design style is like kind of cell shaded, post-apocalyptic, so like the art style is really cool. The whole like Oregon Trail mechanics pretty fun. Like I was like traveling, and then like a prompt came up and said that like half of my followers caught like some like super contagious like virus or whatever, so I could either decide to just like kill them or quarantine them or leave them or eat them, or all these different options.
Wow.
And like depending on what happens to your followers, that affects your deck. So like if I just would have killed all these dudes, I would have just lost like 12 people out of my deck, which
Yikes.
is extremely it makes so if that would have happened and then I move on to the next and I have to have this big battle, if half my deck's gone, then it gets pretty difficult. So, but it's also, it has rogue like elements in terms of like if you fail, you basically just kind of just start over. But I want to say you keep your leadership progression because you can rank up and you get like different abilities, and depending on your rank you can get like gear and all this other stuff. So I don't know, it's pretty engaging for a card battler, so I'll stick with it and kind of see where it goes. But so yeah, it's just kind of like a nice simple might be the wrong word, but it's not Rage 2, it's not over the top, it's not over the top manic nonsense, it's just kind of like there's no like voice acting or anything, there's no cutscenes, it's just like kind of just a nice easy to play game. It's not super it's not complex in terms of like picking up and understanding what you're doing, but it's complex in terms of like strategy and how you should go about different situations. So that makes it fun, and like replayability is pretty big. So
I was really just thinking, like, was hoping you would say it's kind of like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Out in the middle of the Mississippi River. You have to beat your opponent before you either drown or die of dysentery. So
Oh man.
that's like what was going through my head the entire time.
I have never once
Card
played
battle
Yu-Gi-Oh!
with Oregon Trail.
You've never played Yu-Gi-Oh?
I've never played Yu-Gi-Oh! And honestly,
No, he's a magic
I have.
kid.
I'm definitely Magic. I've never even played Pokemon in terms of like the actual game.
Oh, that's okay.
Like
I don't. Yeah.
Like the trading card game.
Yeah. Like I collected
Yeah.
the entirety of like the OG cards, but I never once played the actual game.
Yeah, the game's pretty. It's fun, but it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, but I've been playing Magic since I don't know, middle school. Not so much nowadays, but that was always my go-to card game, just because that like dark fantasy. I love the art style. Like that's really my shtick more than Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, which is a little bit more like not necessarily. I don't know. Maybe it is more family friendly just because it's kind of cutesy, and where Magic is like pretty can get pretty gnarly.
Yeah, so. I mean, Pokemon is definitely more like child friendly, like just fun, a fun time, and then Yu-Gi-Oh is just straight up anime.
Basically. And then what's the other one? Digimon. Never played that either.
Oh God, like the old Digimon cards, those are a pain. But they are releasing like a new Digimon card game.
Really?
It still looks kind of complicated, but I don't know. I might try it someday. We'll see.
Yeah. And then I guess moving on past that game, I did start the expansion for Sea of Thieves, the A Pirate's Life, which was announced during the Bethesda conference, that has the Pirates of the Caribbean characters. And
so you got to play with Captain Jack Sparrow.
So I started that. It's broken up into like 5 chapters basically, and I played chapter 1. And being a long-time Sea of Thieves player, being able to jump into this and play something that's definitely more like narrative driven and more like has a direction as opposed to just like, hey, here's a big open world, go make your own fun.
Yeah, is it easier to play?
It's easier in the sense that it's definitely easier playing, especially if you're doing it by yourself, because you don't have to worry about like playing Sea of Thieves by yourself is kind of tedious and gets kind of boring because half the fun of that game is kind of just like it's like an interactive chat room, get some friends together, go out sailing and do a bunch of shenanigans and have fun doing it. That game doesn't really work too well by yourself, so having something that is story driven makes that game playable by yourself.
That's
makes it more like fun. I didn't play by myself. I did play with my sister, but it can be, all of it can be played with one person.
Oh, okay.
It's just you're just not getting the full aspect of it.
It's just I mean, the more people you add, it's just like easier some of the encounters are. Because the first chapter, I don't know if we want to get into spoilers because it's still fairly fresh, but just like, I don't know, it was incredibly fun, and it was nice having like curated fun as opposed to like leaving it up to more of your imagination and just like serendipitous things happening,
Right, it's not just like here's a sandbox
yeah,
but
exactly.
here's a narrative, here's a path that you can follow in order to experience the sandbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, which I am, it's even more enjoyable because there's little fan like Easter egg things and little just like little nods here and there, but being able to interact with like Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones and stuff like that is really cool. So I'm excited to play more of the chapters. Like I said, I just played the first one out of 5. But yeah, it was cool. I was excited for it. And a pirate game that's introducing Disney Pirates characters, like it's not the most, it's not super like inventive in the terms of like that mashup, but it works perfect, Like I would honestly want them to do more of this. It doesn't even have to be like Pirates of the Caribbean, just like more like story like driven expansions.
I mean, like kind of like Fortnite.
I mean, I don't know.
It adds everybody to it.
Yeah, Fortnite's definitely been way like incredibly meta the last couple years. But I don't play Fortnite because I fucking hate battle royales. But I am sort of envious of like the people who do really enjoy that game because some of the expansions, like when they did the Galactus and stuff like that, all that stuff seems pretty cool. But I don't know if Sea of Thieves needs more like already established IP. They could just literally take the world that they already have and just keep making like narrative adventures with it.
Yeah, they need their own whole setup kind of thing.
Yeah. And like this expansion that they have, it's not just like taking your character and popping you into let's play Pirates of the Caribbean. It's taking a few of those characters from those films and popping it into like the Sea of Thieves world and turns that world up on its head. So it's not I don't know. There's still a lot of original characters, and there's also established characters in the Sea of Thieves like canon that you get to interact with more and kind of fleshes them out more, which is kind of cool. So I don't know, it's been cool. I would like to see more of it. I'm pretty excited to finish that expansion off.
I mean, it seems that this is already like turning out pretty well for the players. Like it's getting good feedback and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're already hard at work on like their next thing. So
yeah, hopefully. I mean, they did have it was fairly buggy at launch, but that's to be expected. I mean, I saw a thing the other day saying that like they haven't had this many concurrent players since launch, so that's got to be exciting for that dev team. So I don't know. It's always nice to see a team continually to support a game, even if it didn't hit the expectations that they were hoping for. Especially when that game came out at launch, like it got hit pretty hard by critics because it was fairly barren of things to do. So
yeah,
and I feel like that wasn't like properly explained either from the dev team, because the point is for it to be sort of like open-ended in terms of objectives, but they just didn't have a whole lot of I don't know, like objectives in there for you to have any sort of engagement with. It was almost too open,
Yeah, but like I think it was just how they marketed it. They marketed it as this nice big pirate MMO.
Yeah.
Except it's not really an MMO.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like
there's
no
also
no story to follow. So you drop into an MMO and they're just like, okay, bye. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, when it came out, there's no story, and there's not really progression, because like you don't rank up, your character doesn't get stronger, or anything like that. Your ship doesn't get stronger. Everything's cosmetic. So like you could be playing since launch, and your ship can look amazing, and I could just get, someone can just get into the game, and your ship looks like shit, and it doesn't matter. They're like equally matched.
It's a good thing
So,
they
like,
do that,
usually
though,
MMOs,
because you
like,
can steal
people
people's
have been
stuff.
playing,
So
grinding. Yeah. I mean, that's honestly, that's like, if anyone played that game at launch, it was a total like pirate shitstorm, because everybody was just trolling everyone else. It was, which was kind of fun, actually. People would steal other people's boats, and people would steal people's treasure, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. There's a little bit of decorum now, but it's still sort of chaotic at times. That's half the fun, though. But yeah, I've been looking forward to this for the 2 weeks before it came out.
a whole 2 weeks of anticipation.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a huge surprise at that Xbox show. I was not expecting anything from Sea of Thieves. Like, I know that they've been doing seasonal content, but I wasn't expecting something like any sort of collaboration with Disney. That kind of came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's hopefully it's paying off for them. I've everything I've seen on the internets. Everybody's been enjoying what they've been playing, so it's exciting.
Well, I feel the biggest hope that any gamer can have is that everything is successful. Because if everything's successful, then everybody wins. So
the hope that every gamer can have is everything that you like is successful.
Well, even the stuff that you don't like. So
everything across the aisle, fuck it.
if everything is great, then that just pushes everybody else to be better. So, we don't want things to get stagnant and stale here.
Yeah, we don't want everything to be like Sony. No.
Mr. Anti-console wars over here.
Yeah.
The only one who ever prods at people.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a walking contradiction.
Well, do you think, we've had enough talk about video games? We have another part to talk about, surprisingly not video game related.
All right, Miss Tease. Jeez.
Yes,
Wearing your tease
can't
crown
hold it any longer.
I guess that's the best segue we're going to get to move into our today's party chat, which is the Pixar Mount Rushmore. And
Woo!
For anyone who doesn't know what a Mount Rushmore is, it's essentially just, you take whatever the category is, and you pick out the four, the four best, the four pinnacle, whatever it is, the gold standard. So for us,
the four goats, as the kids would say.
Yeah, the goats.
Yes.
We're picking out four goats to put on our mountain. What are
Accurate.
That should. Yeah, this is the Pixar mountain goats. So.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
So for in terms of for this episode, for the Pixar Mount Rushmore, this is going to be the four Pixar films that are the gold standard for Pixar as a studio. It's not going to be what we personally are our favorite films, because one of my personal favorite Pixar films is A Bug's Life, but that movie is sure as shit not on the Mount Rushmore for Pixar films. So this is more just like, if someone has never heard of Pixar before, these would be the four films you would tell them to watch. So Pixar has 24? Is it 23 or 24 films out right now? Luca just came out a couple weeks ago, so I think that's 24 for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best way to start for us is to narrow this down to 10 by weeding out the films that we know for sure aren't going to make it into the discussions. So does anybody have immediate, just gut reaction of a film that we can go ahead and just nix?
If it starts
Toy
with
Story
cars.
Perfect. Perfect. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. I've only seen the first Cars film, and it was, it's fine. But I would not, if it didn't say Pixar in front of it, I would not think that was a Pixar film. That seems like something that any animation, like, it could have been a DreamWorks or Sony or, whatever. Like, it does not come across as a Pixar film to me.
Yeah, I did just watch all 3 of the Cars movies this week. So my tease was, I have seen all the Pixar movies now. There were 3 movies I hadn't seen prior to this week. And that included...
Wow.
Yeah, it was Luca, Cars 3, and The Good Dinosaur. So now I can say...
Now, something we should probably say before we get too much farther. People, we are going to be ranting and raving and throwing some movies in the shade here. And you can at me. You can at me all night and day. I'm here to take it. I can dish it out too. I'm looking for a fight. So
I'm looking for a fight.
If I say something hurtful about a movie you love, I'll send you my address. It's fine. We'll take care of it.
I also want to go ahead. I want to go ahead. Like, this is kind of a weird role reversal here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out that I honestly think. Okay, first off, there are 2 Pixar films that I have not seen and still have not seen. I have not seen Brave, and I have not seen Toy Story 4. But out of all the Pixar films I have seen, I honestly would not say any of them are bad movies. But some of them, I think, do not belong under the Pixar umbrella. But there's a certain quality standard. There's a certain standard I hold for Pixar films more so than if I'm watching some other animated shit. And some of the films just I don't feel like hit that level. So,
well, Ethan, just keep on saying you have not seen Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
Because my hot take is I hate that movie.
It can go.
Thank you. It needs to go.
I haven't heard a lot of good things about it, and the fact that it's also not one of the OG Toy Story directors that handled it, I think that also doesn't help its case.
I want to go on a slight mini rant about that movie because it offends me. And it offends me.
We found it.
I've been waiting 4 episodes for this.
This movie... Rant. Oh my gosh. It was not necessary. It basically is kind of Toy Story 3 a bit, but then a bunch of random stuff that's just offensive. Let's just talk about how the main new character they add to this movie is Forky. Forky, who is a spork that the child put like pipe cleaners on and made it come to life. But the problem with this fork is he believes he is trash. So he is basically a suicidal character trying to jump out of the window and everything the whole time, like trying to kill himself. But this is supposed to be a kid's movie where it's supposed to be funny that he's suicidal. That is just really messed up to have suicide in a children's movie, but it's played off as a joke.
That's a good point, and I'll give you that.
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of wish I would have watched this movie now.
Well, I mean, you can go watch it, but
it's on Disney Plus.
See,
I
never
not worth your time.
I haven't finished it yet.
I never watched it because I always, I felt like Toy Story 3 was the perfect way to wrap up that story with those characters. So when they announced Toy Story 4, I was like, oh, this is some bullshit cash grab nonsense. So I just never even cared to watch it. So...
when Toy Story 4 was like announced and it came out, like I didn't have any emotional connection to it because at 18 years old I sat in that movie theater and I paid my debt of tears to Toy Story 3 and that was kind of my emotional departure. So like when 4 came out, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I feel like 3 did such a good job of just like sapping whatever emotional energy I had left towards those characters, and then just put a nice little bow on it, and then years go by and they're like, hey, we're making 4. And I'm just like, but are you? Do we really have to do this? This seems incredibly unnecessary.
No.
So I'm glad to hear that it's total
It's-
trash.
Yes.
So,
It's just there's no need.
Yeah.
yeah.
That was my rant. I will... No, don't get me started on that movie again.
I want to get you started on that movie again.
Oh gosh, don't. No.
What's your favorite new character?
They bring Bo Peep back. Maybe that's the highlight.
That was exciting because you hadn't seen her. She didn't do anything in so long.
You know, it's...
Yeah.
So I, like, when 4 came out and everybody was talking about it, like, oh, return to a beloved character, and then you find out it's Bo Peep. I didn't know Bo Peep was gone. Like, I guess I never registered with me that she wasn't in 3.
Well, she was in like 1 a lot, and then she wasn't really in 2.
Yeah.
She was like in the background, and then in 3, like I think like she is sold or given away or something like that's like alluded to. So it's just like, oh, okay. But then they find her in 4, so it's like a reunion for the characters.
Yeah.
Not
I guess
just a sudden like, oh, she's back. You know,
Right,
like
yeah,
she's
yeah,
been
yeah.
here all along.
I guess I just
Is
never
it really
like...
needed? No.
Yeah, I never really, like, even seeing Toy Story 4 countless times, I still never really put Bo Peep on, like, top shelf in terms of, like, characters I cared about.
Nah.
Well, I'm glad we can agree that one is not worthy of being in our top 10. Thank you.
Well, Ethan, do you have one you want to get rid of since we've already taken a chunk out of it?
I'm going to go ahead and nominate Finding Dory as one that we can take out of consideration for even top 10, because I also just think that film didn't need to exist. I've seen it. It's not bad. It's just not good either.
Mm-hmm.
And it is basically just like a whole film dedicated to a character that was my least favorite character in Finding Nemo. So I already was against it.
Chelsea, what are your feelings on that?
That's fair. I'm okay with it removing it from the top ones. It's a decent movie, but
Yeah,
it's a good time. There's lots of yucks in it.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
Okay.
It's just, I don't see it as like a Pixar film to me. It's Pixar characters that are established, but I don't know. It just, I feel like that with really a lot of, like the Cars films, like the Cars sequels, like I don't really feel like they were ever really necessary. Finding Dory, anything after Toy Story 3, like a lot of these sequels are just kind of, it's like, well, we know people love these characters and these toys sell, so let's keep making this shit,
Oh yeah.
And I felt like that was like Finding Dory.
That's probably fair. That's probably fair.
All right, Wade, back to you. What do you got?
Okay, I'm looking at the list going, now I haven't seen The Good Dinosaur, so I can't touch that. So I'll leave that to somebody else to deal with.
Okay. I mean, it's gonna get tough pretty soon, pretty quick.
Yeah. So. Well, we've got 9 to go still before our top 10, so yeah. I gotta not be so liberal up front. Honestly, probably Ratatouille. Maybe. And y'all can veto, like, that's okay. I'm just looking at everything else. Maybe Onward.
Ooh.
I like Onward. I like it.
Top 10.
But is it worthy of top 10?
I don't know. God, I'm really bad at math, so it's hard for me to even just like look at this and see 10 films. But honestly, I think Onward... Oh, man.
Should we hold on to it for now?
Maybe that might be like my 10. You know what I mean? I feel like it just barely sneaks on. It also might be
keep Onward in your back pocket for now.
It also might be recency bias because I literally just watched it like 2 days ago.
Gotcha.
But being a new father, that film hit me harder than it probably did most, because like the idea that this kid, the main character grew up without knowing his dad, and then he finally gets a chance to meet him, and they go on this quest to try and like to me that just like hit on an emotional level I wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
because I never really cared to watch the film because the art style and everything like that just didn't really speak to me. It didn't look super compelling.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew we were gonna do this episode, so I was like, well, I gotta watch some of these films that I haven't seen. So I watched Onward, and yeah, that just kind of like it kind of penetrated my tough exterior and spoke to my dad side, you know.
Well, they're definitely good at doing that.
Yeah.
Pixar is.
and that's kind of how I judge like good Pixar films, if it does hit me on like an emotional level, and that film definitely did.
Oh, well.
But like I said, it's hard because, you know, being a dad, like I feel like a lot of things hit me differently that deal with anything with any sort of like parent-child relationship stuff. Like that just kind of affects me differently now than it would have, you know, let's say 2 years ago.
Well, I have an offer then.
I can see that.
Should each of us pick one that the others cannot touch?
Well, oof.
Well, I think
let's
just keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. Let's try and weed this down a little bit more.
Okay, well, if I had to pick one then, maybe Toy Story 2.
That's fair to me.
I'm
like,
okay with that.
If I had to pick another of the Toy Stories to go, it would be 2. Not because it's bad, not because anything, but I loved Jessie. You know, that was the movie that she was introduced.
Yeah.
But I mean, 1 and 3 have like the strongest like emotional connection. Yeah. So I think 2's gonna have to let everybody else pass for now.
I'm with you on that one.
I won't argue with you.
Yeah, I think two doesn't hold up even for nostalgia's sake. So.
All right, Chelsea, go ahead.
Oh man, I have 2, but obviously I can only go with 1.
She's got stuff in her pocket, and I'm sitting here trying to fish out.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm probably the only one who's seen one of the movies, but I want to take out Brave. I want to take that one out.
Oh, that's too bad. That's okay.
I mean, you can argue with me if you want, but
no, it's okay. It's
okay.
Why do you?
That movie.
I haven't seen Brave, so I would at least like to hear your argument on why you like it.
Okay, I thought it was a huge disappointment. It was nothing that I thought it was going to be, and it was lackluster. It was a weak version of Brother Bear. I just want to say that's what it was. Damn. It was their like throwaway movie with we have a female character. She's strong and doesn't need a man, but she's really not that cool. Sorry. You know, doesn't live up to it. You know, the...
Can I just step in and
Scottish...
say Chelsea's bringing heat today. I love it.
She's not taking prisoners today.
Okay, and also this movie came out around with, I don't know if you guys remember when IMDb used to have like those forums and people used to like talk about different movies and stuff and like the different like rumors and the stuff. Well, I guess maybe you guys don't. I used to read them all the time.
I had no idea IMDb even had forums.
Nope.
Yeah, they probably haven't had them probably a little bit after Brave came out is when they got rid of them. But
were you the reason that
there was a lot of controversy.
Were you the controversy? Were you the drama? Were you the villain, Chelsea?
No, I never commented. I just always read everything. But I could have caused drama. Anyway, so what I read, though, too, was really disappointing because there was a lot of stuff that, like, the movie was supposed to be. And I think there was issues with, like, who the original director was going to be because I don't know if she's still credited as director on that, but it was Brenda Chapman. She was supposed to be the first, like, female Pixar director. And she had all these ideas for the movie. And it was supposed to be much darker. And the story would have been cooler. But then something happened with that. And they scrapped it all. And
this is what we
then
got.
It turned out to be this, yeah.
Yeah, because when I look at Brave surface level, it also just like the art style and everything about it just never sat right with me. It never really looked like a Pixar film to me. It just, I don't know. I feel like the marketing for it was terrible. And honestly, the only thing I remember coming out when that film, before and after it came out, was the hair technology. Like everybody was just like talking about how amazing the main character's hair was. That's really
I remember that.
That's really the only good thing I ever remember about that film. So I am totally fine taking that off as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Guess it's back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and throw out The Good Dinosaur.
Even though you haven't seen it, or did you see that one?
No,
I
seen that
haven't.
one.
No.
I haven't
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that one.
Okay.
Even if I didn't see it, fuck that movie.
That movie is kind of weirdly hilarious. Not that I think it deserves top 10. I'm fine with taking it. That was my second one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
like I said, I don't. It's not really it's not a bad film, and it is kind of creative
It's a
in the
Western.
sense. Yeah, and it is kind of creative in the sense it's like, oh, let's make all the dinosaurs sentient and intelligent, and let's make the human like a wild animal, you know, like that. You know, that is what it is. But I don't know. It was charming, but it just didn't have any sort of like emotional resonance with me. And honestly,
That's fair.
like the animation didn't really seem that great to me either.
Whoa. That animation was beautiful.
Maybe it's because I've only recently seen that within like the last like year or two. So maybe if I saw it when it came out, it would have like set better with me. But I don't know.
I just watched that this week. I just watched it this week. No, that animation is great. There are certain scenes where they just put so much detail into it, and I'm really impressed. It's like, because it's not even the scenes with like the characters really in it, or like the main focus.
Yeah. I think it's more for me like I don't like how any of the characters are designed.
Oh, that's fair.
Like they all just kind of almost look like claymation to me.
Yes.
But like
I can see
the vistas and stuff like that, and like the particle effects and just like like all that stuff looks great. It's just I don't like how the characters, and since that's like what you're kind of focusing on the whole time, I just hate the way they look, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's all good.
all right, Wade, back to you.
Oh God. Okay, I lied. I actually haven't seen Luca either. It was on my to-do list this week, and I didn't quite get to it. So I'll have to leave that one up to you all as well.
Yeah, you're stuck in Stardew Valley, so
Yeah, you bet. Man, it's like Skyrim. It just sucks you in, and it's like, oh God, it's like 3 days later. Okay, Incredibles 2.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I did like it. I really, really liked it. But it doesn't hit the same as the first one.
Most
So
definitely.
if I can put it underneath something else, I think then that's a sign.
Yeah, I think Incredibles 2 is a strong number 11.
Yeah, no.
Like, it's definitely not a bad
Bye-bye.
film, but it just, yeah, I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me either. All right,
Okay, Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Oh man. I think we'll go with the least controversial one.
Oh, no. I like you throwing, like, getting feisty, you know?
Oh, well, I mean,
what's
don't
the
worry,
least
it's coming.
controversial
Start
one?
throwing
There's some of these
daggers.
movies Oh. Well, we'll go with, okay, Luca, no. I did not like Luca. That one is not good at all. In my opinion, like, that was a movie where it started, there was no story at all. It was just, I actually listened to the director talk about it on Clubhouse, and it's basically just like, he wanted to make a movie about his childhood. And I'm like, that's cool and everything, but I didn't think it really had the Pixar heart in my opinion. The animation is also nothing exciting. The friend, looks like Jimmy Neutron.
All right,
I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna come out on a little bit on Luca's defense. I would agree it's not top 10. However, and I also agree that the first like third of that film, I found myself checking my phone, you know, being distracted, doing other things because it was a bunch of nothing. It just, I don't know. It was going nowhere. It wasn't interesting. And yeah, I agree. I don't really like the animation style. But I think the last third sort of made up for it because I really did like how the film wrapped up and how it ended. It had a little bit of that Pixar heart and charm, but I don't think it earned it because the first of the film was kind of just boring, really. Like it was just a nothing film in the first, like I was almost ready to turn it off honestly. But and if I, if it gets to that point, then it's definitely not worth consideration.
Yeah. No, I think the ending was okay-ish, but I don't think it was enough to make up the whole film for me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'll agree with that.
another thing I saw is that, like, I think this is just this director. I think this was his first film he directed. The first thing he directed before that, I'm not sure if you knew this, was that short about like the kid and the like guy that like clean up stars or something. I think it's called Luna.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
one of the
yeah.
Pixar shorts. Yeah.
Wow, Luna
So it
and Luca. This dude's a creative writer genius.
Yeah, but he also said he was really inspired, which I can tell, by Miyazaki and like Fellini, and the movie Stand By Me apparently were his inspirations for this as well. But the Miyazaki I can see because the town is called Porto Rosso. Porco Rosso, anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some like standout moments in the film where I wasn't expecting, like some of the more like dream sequency where they're like flying through the stars and some of that stuff. Like that was pretty cool stuff. I really liked that. The conflict was more like there wasn't really like, I mean, there is like a villain character, but he's just some like dumb town bully, and I don't even remember his name. Was it like, I don't even remember like most of the characters' names besides Luca and Alberto, and like everyone in the town was kind of just like almost just like filler.
There.
Like they were just put there. They were like cardboard cutouts. They were very tropey, and
Yes, there were lots of tropes in this movie.
yeah, for sure. But I do like this is kind of more of like a broader point in terms of just like Pixar, like the last, I don't know, 5-6 years of like Pixar, is I really do like that some of the OG directors are kind of playing like supervisor and letting like these new voices kind of write films that are more personal for them. Because films like Luca and Coco and Soul and Onward are all like from directors that have like a personal stake into it. And I really like that. And they're also just like focusing on like a certain like culture, which I also think is really cool. So I don't know. That's kind of just more like a reason to like Pixar, not necessarily a reason to like Luca. So I wouldn't say it's a bad film. It's definitely worth watching. It's also extremely short, but it's definitely.
Oh, is it?
10. Yeah, it's like an hour and a half or something like that.
Oh,
Most of these movies are pretty short.
It seems longer in the beginning though, because the beginning is just so like
it doesn't like endear itself to you yet.
Yeah, well, like the main character in the beginning is just, it doesn't really like, I don't know, he didn't gravitate with me at first, and then like his friend was also like just like their relationship doesn't flourish until like over halfway into it. When
Well, if I was 6 years old, I would love it, but
I'll give it a watch this week. But I'm okay with y'all taking it off the list for now.
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so is it back to me?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
All right, I said it earlier. I think I said it right before we even started talking about started making cuts, but I'm gonna say Bug's Life. I think that film lives in a realm of nostalgia, and it's like one of my personal favorite like Pixar films. But after just watching it recently, it does not. I don't know.
You know what they should do? They should remake A Bug's Life.
I mean,
They
no.
should do that. No, like, could you imagine like current like Pixar animation with like old voices and like the story and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even necessarily like the outdated animation that bugs me. It's just this, right? Oh yeah, no pun intended. God, Chelsea's on fire today. It's just, I love Kevin Spacey as the villain, even though we're not allowed to love Kevin Spacey anymore. But
He's the villain in real life.
Yeah, but I do think he makes like a really good, like Hopper is a really good villain.
Oh yeah.
And I like all the characters, but I can watch that film a million times and I don't ever get like, when you watch like a film that like really like cuts deep and you kind of get like chills, is that just me? where you kind of like get like a little tingle when you're like, ooh, wow, this is like really like hitting me. Bugs Life doesn't do that. It's just kind of like it's like junk food, you know. It's just like fun, charming child fare. But it doesn't. I don't think it elevates itself enough.
I gotcha.
So yeah, anybody want to come to its
all good.
defense?
No.
No, not really. I love it. I do love it, but I'm not ready to fight for it.
It's like one of those films that I can literally turn on at any time and watch, but you know, it's kind of like I can't say it's a guilty pleasure because it's not a bad movie, but it's just like it's a safe watch, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about any sort of like existential crisis when I'm over with it.
Okay, well, you ready for my pick?
Yep.
Yes.
Monsters University.
Okay.
I'm sitting here looking at the list. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't even looked at this movie yet. Why is it still here?
Hey, it's a good movie.
Yeah,
but
it's not bad.
I'm okay with your yeah.
But it's no Monsters Inc.
I'm gonna come out and say that Monsters University might be the second best Pixar sequel. Behind Toy Story 3. I think Toy Story
it's a really good sequel.
It is the only other sequel we have left on our list.
Yeah, exactly.
Technically prequel, but
sequel.
you know.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, like another crack at the established IP or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Monsters University had, you know, like any other sequel, it's a huge risk. It has every chance to fail, but I think that film is just, it's hilarious. Anyone who's actually like gone to college, like I think adults probably would like that film more than kids would, because a lot of the humor is kind of catered towards a college experience.
Oh, for sure.
And kids like enjoy like the bright, colorful characters and whatnot, but like it has a lot of like subtle like jokes in there that really hit, and it's super funny. But yeah,
I mean, it came out when I was in college, and so yeah, I was super excited about that.
Yeah, behind Toy Story 3, it's definitely the best Pixar sequel for me. Like, I love watching that film. I still crack up every time I watch that film. But yeah, I can see it.
We've only got one more sequel left on the list that's still standing. So
yeah, and it's gonna keep standing.
You bet. So, I don't think it's going anywhere. Chelsea.
Chelsea's got it.
Well, okay, I'm not gonna go after that right now.
All right, so hold on.
We have
11.
We have 11.
Okay, we have 11.
We got to get rid of one.
Oh man, which one do I really want to fight to get rid of?
Yeah, I mean, we got to get daggers out.
Oh,
you know?
I mean, Inside Out.
Get out.
I'm gonna say it.
Get out. Don't touch it.
I
will fight.
No, that movie was a huge disappointment. I was so excited to see that movie. I saw it the day before my birthday. It was my birthday celebration. I went to see that movie, and I'm like, what the heck is this movie? I don't understand how, I don't know. I was not emotional during that movie. I did not feel those feelings everybody did for Bing Bong and everybody. It was just, it didn't have the heart I thought it was going to have.
So Chelsea didn't have an imaginary friend growing up?
Nope.
No, I did not. I live in
Bong.
reality. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Chelsea is cold, calculated, and callous.
Okay. Well, I feel it's not only a good movie, but I feel it's an important movie, because you know how many adults I heard after watching this movie tell me, "Oh my God, I didn't realize you could have like two emotions at the same time." Do you know how many times I heard people say that? I mean, I looked at them like, duh, but at the same time,
of sociopaths.
I'm like, well, they're like, well, I didn't really, like happy things can be sad and sad things can also be happy. And I was like, yes, there's a plethora of words that mean that exact same thing, but we're not going to talk about that because clearly you're not going to understand it. But, I used to talk about this movie a ton with my students because that's something that they can relate to, because, it's more of a recent Pixar film. Recenter. It's a word. Look it up.
Sure.
So
Wade's a music teacher, by the way, everyone. So
yes. So I'm eyeballing another one on my list too. So get out. So
I'm coming after it.
Well,
Yeah.
my fists are already up. So, but just the fact that I could use this movie to talk to kids and help them manage their emotions better, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think the film's incredibly inventive in terms of like finding a way to visualize the idea of like the emotional, making characters emotions and whatnot. I thought that was like it's a really cool way to go about it. But I'm kind of with Chelsea in the sense where by the time I finished the film, it didn't do anything for me in terms of like making me feel any more about anything. And maybe Chelsea and I are soulless. That's a huge possibility.
No.
But
it just didn't work. It didn't resonate with everybody. There are certain movies that are on this list that do resonate with everybody, I think. But
yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. I'm not against it being on the 10. But I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think it's Mount Rushmore. So
yes.
If that's a fight that Wade wants to have to have it on Mount Rushmore, Wade, if you think it's a Mount Rushmore film, then by all means we can keep it on the top 10 and we can find something else to take off instead. But if you don't think it's a Mount Rushmore film, then I'm fine.
Well, I mean, at this rate, it's not going to make it to top 4. So
I mean, I don't hate it and
go.
I don't love it. So I'm kind of like, I'm like the Green Party on this one.
I mean, I could go after a different movie if you want me to at this point.
Well, you'll come back around to this one eventually. So
stand your ground.
Okay.
Wait, are you like super attached to it?
Well,
I know
not top 4, not top 4 attached to it.
Okay.
But I will always argue its case as far as being like a good Pixar movie, but also like a good movie that people need to watch.
Right. Okay. Then yeah, I guess we'll take it off here.
I'll close my eyes.
I'm kind of sorry.
All right, so we still have 11 here, right?
Oh.
Do we?
I'm looking at the list, and there's
know
11 films.
I didn't know Onward's... Oh, I guess it was still on there?
Yeah, I mean, I made my case for Onward to be top 10. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think it's a Mount Rushmore film, but it would definitely be in the top 10 for me. But
is it better than, is Ratatouille better than Onward?
Yes.
Not for me, just because, but I have like a very like weird personal connection to Onward more so than Ratatouille does. I think Ratatouille is a better overall film in terms of its story, characters, rewatchability. Mm-hmm. But by the time I got done with Onward, it just lasted longer. It resonated with me on like a personal level. Mm-hmm. So, but like I said, that's a very 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 small case. You know what I mean? So, I would not concede Ratatouille for Onward, I guess is what I'm saying. But I would I do think Onward is it's a better film than it had really any right to be. So.
Well, Ethan, isn't it your turn to actually remove one?
Well, then, yeah. I mean, in that case, I'll go ahead and take Onward off, and then we have our...
Okay.
So
if
before we
have
move...
to do it, it better be you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of tough pills to swallow moving forward, so I guess I'll go ahead and get that one started. So before we move further, I'm going to go ahead and list off the 10 that we have, just so everyone's on the same page.
So we have in no particular order.
Yeah, no particular order. That's another thing. Mount Rushmore isn't a ranking 1 through 4. The top 4 films are all equal when we get done with this. So there is no it's not really like a ranked thing we're doing here. So the 10 remaining films we have is Toy Story, Toy Story 3, Monsters Inc., Up, Wall-E, Ratatouille, The Incredibles, Finding Nemo, Soul, and Coco. And Wade, I think it's your turn.
Oh no. Jeez Louise.
Right? It's only gonna get tougher.
I keep looking at each one. I'm like, well, I could do that, but no, because this. Oh, I could do that, but no, because this.
You just gotta look internal and be like, man, do I really think this is the gold standard?
Now I'm thinking, what I'm gonna start thinking now is this going to be on top 4? No, well, it's probably gone. In that case, I will do the honors of taking Soul off the list.
Ooh.
I'm gonna take it away from Chelsea, and I'm going to do it myself.
Oh man.
While I love it, and like if you've seen it, you would understand why that movie would resonate with me on 12 different levels.
That film is so much more than just being like about
a band teacher. Yeah, well, and I tried to tell so many friends were like, oh, like, is this your favorite because it's about a band teacher? I'm like, well, but it's not about band.
Yeah.
It's not even about music. It's about life. It's about living. It's about finding the thing, no matter how small, that gives you that want to move on.
Yeah.
Now, while I feel the lesson is probably the most important thing ever, as far as like the movie goes, is it going to be my top 4? I don't think so, but go ahead, Ethan.
Oh man, before even like throughout the week, I kind of had like what I thought would be like the 4 that I would pick, and Soul was like one of the first ones I thought of, just for the fact that I think it's one of the most deep and complex and layered Pixar films that they've ever made. In terms of not just like story and like thematic elements, but also just in terms of animation styles and just like the world itself. Like that film is, God, it's so freaking good. And I love the music. I love really everything about that film.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of it, like it's one of the few like Pixar films that like I contemplated and thought about a lot afterwards. And I like rewatched it just to like soak up more, you know?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Well,
and
Chelsea, what do you think then?
Chelsea's never had an existential crisis in her life, so this film's like whatever, fucking cats and.
Well, I mean, like clearly we both really love it, but Chelsea, go ahead.
No, it did not resonate with me. It's the same thing with Inside Out. Soul was the same line. Like it tried. I think it just, in the sense it tried, like it really tried to make it so deep and everything, but it just didn't work for me. It was a joke, in my opinion. I'm sorry. It's just and then I mean, you take like the little Soul character as like, oh, it's just a funny, stupid movie with a stupid character. You know, sure, they try to give it depth at the end, but I don't know. It just.
Yeah, honestly, like the thing that Tina Fey and like being the comedic element and like, you know, because at the end of the day, it is a Pixar film. It is trying to find a more balanced audience. So like the middle portion of the film where they have Tina Fey and she's cracking wise and being Tina Fey and then like, you know, they put her in his body and he's in a cat and that's all, you know, that stuff like the kids enjoy and whatnot. That was like the weak part of the film to me on just like pushing the narrative forward.
Mm-hmm.
But like how the film starts and how it ends is like so incredible to me. And even if just like, I know this is like 100% recency bias, but Soul may be like one of the best looking animated films I've ever seen in terms of like the amount of detail.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
the detail, oh my God, is so just mind blowing to me. Like especially when they're like on Earth, not necessarily when they're like in the I don't even remember what they call it. It's like pre-life, but they have like a name for it. What's it called? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know, like the Soul's World. I don't know what
it's like the camp name or whatever. But yeah, like
I don't know.
one of the things I loved is when he's walking through his version of like, it's like all his memories and like high points and low points like visualized, and Tina Fey's just kind of like making fun, and like there's like certain things that he sees that he's just like, he does have like that internal like crisis. It's like, man, what the hell have I done with my life? Like that shit resonates with me on a personal level, because I find myself contemplating that all the time. You know, I'm in my 30s now. I'm a new father, and I look back and I'm just like, I haven't done shit. Like I haven't done anything that's substantial and that I would consider like a high point. So like seeing this character kind of like see that himself and realize like, oh, well, my life is meaningless because I haven't accomplished anything. Like I have that inner turmoil myself all the time. I feel like if you're looking for accomplishments and accolades to judge your life, then you're always gonna be a step below. And then, you know, by the end of the film, he's just like, no, I'm just gonna be happy in life. You know, I'm just gonna, you know, this is what it is. You know, and when you can find that peace, that's awesome. You know, so it's another one of those films that just kind of like hits me on like personal level, because I saw myself in that character. You know.
I see. Another thing, honestly. Oh,
no, go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. Keep shitting on it. It's fine.
No, okay. Another thing that bothered me was just like, it's a representation aspect. It's the same thing with the Princess and the Frog. I love that movie, but the first time you have a black princess and then you make her the frog the whole movie, like that's just kind of insulting. It's the same thing with kind of in the sense with Soul. Like you have this black man, he's the main character, but then like, yeah, halfway through the movie you talked about like Tina Fey takes over his body and everything. It's like this comedic thing, and then he's like a blue soul most of the time, and it's just kind of,
the one thing I will
just didn't
counter
sit
that
right with
is
me.
I do love like you want to get this from just watching the film, but like if you watch, I watched the making of for the film, and like the director was talking about how it was very important for him to have the barbershop scene, because that's like a cultural touchstone for them, and like him just writing that and putting that in there adds so much. It makes it like, it adds that sort of like cultural realism. Like I love the barbershop scene. It's so freaking good. Even though it is, you know, Tina Fey's in his body and like talking, you know, making stupid jokes and whatnot, but just like that director being able to push, you know, the team to be like, hey, no, I think this is really important. This is like, you know, this is like our thing. This is what, you know, this matters to us. You know, I think that's super cool. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he does spend, I would say, you know, 2/3 of the film in like different aspects. You know, he's a fucking cat. He's a blue blip. You know, whatever. but I don't know. Like, it's another one of those things. Like, it's hard because, you know, it is super subjective. But yeah, that film, I would say more so than really anything else on that list, like hit me like hard. You know, hit me in the feels.
Well, it might sound like Soul staying for now, I guess. Does that mean I need to choose a different one?
I mean, if you guys are both against it, I don't know how much energy I want to put into fighting for it, but I just think on like a technical level and just like a story level, and like, I don't know, I just think that film is incredible. It's not a masterpiece, because there are some points in there where, you know, it's not cringe, but it's also like, all right, you had to do this for the kids, you know, because otherwise this film is going to get too fucking too far away.
Yeah,
from
I mean, it comes
from
in
their
with
mantra.
heavy stuff, and then you
Yeah.
need something to kind of go like, oh no, this is a family movie still. Let's keep it going.
They had to figure out a way to ground it to make it a Disney animated film as opposed to something else, because it could have very easily gone to something else. So I don't know. Wade, if if you're also in the park, then we can at least keep it for now, and we can duke out Chelsea later. But
I'm okay with holding it off
I'm ready.
until the list is a little shorter. So if I can't do Soul, and I was only going to do Soul because I wanted to take the pleasure away from Chelsea.
Yeah, I knew that was on her burn list, because I remember when that movie came out,
I wanted
Chelsea.
to have the funeral before the bloody murder.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, well, if I have to choose another one, then I'm gonna have to go with The Incredibles.
No.
Well, this is where I'm opposite. I agree.
Oh man. Really? Can I state a case real quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
I
Yes.
don't think it's bad. It's not like it's, but like there's not like a lot of like good life lessons to learn from it. It tells a great story. It's got a great cast, lots of, like memorable scenes and stuff like that. But like, as compared to some other things, and just like the emotional value I have with other movies, like I'm looking for a fight, but I'm not ready for a gang to show up on my doorstep for kicking some of these movies off. But I feel like The Incredibles is a safer choice. But go ahead, Chelsea. Tell me what's up.
Yeah, Chelsea, state your case.
Okay. I mean, so first of all, I think it really resonates because I think it has really good animation. It's really good at the time, and it still holds up really well. It's a superhero movie, which at the time this movie came out, I believe that like the Spider-Man movies were kind of out and everything, and people were getting excited about superhero movies. And then you have The Incredibles, which, it kind of made superheroes cool again in a way. And then we have like the Marvel MCU that comes after. And so like this is kind of like Disney's like first like superhero family that we experience, and it's like their version of Fantastic Four and everything. And so it's a movie that appeals to both children and adults, and there are a lot of elements in the story that appeals as well to children and adults. I think it does have life lessons, and I think especially it's actually for like an older audience, because you have Mr. Incredible basically going through his midlife crisis and everything, and then trying to like change things up, and then his wife thinks he's cheating on him, and they realize that like communication's important, and family is important, and they need to be all there for each other. I don't know. That's what I got from that.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of the writing and a lot of some of the like early on conflicts are very much more adult driven, because kids don't really understand the idea of a midlife crisis or really understand the idea of adultery and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
And the writing is like, it's really well done. Like that movie is still like, you can watch it now and it's still very sharp and very, very witty. Pretty much all the characters are great. I don't necessarily like the villain. I didn't then, and I still don't. I don't know if it's just that guy's voice or the way he is, like the way he's characterized. I guess he's supposed to be sort of like annoying and everything else, but God, he's insufferable. That like,
yeah, but he's kind of us though, in a way, as in like the viewer, because we all want to be the superheroes. We all would love, I think most people would love to have superpowers and everything. And I think this movie also has some super iconic lines. I mean, Syndrome has the line, if everyone's super, no one will be.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said,
like, I don't know. Yeah.
I think the best accolade that film has is its writing. I think the writing is probably the best thing about it, because at the end of the day, it is, like you said, just like it's a superhero film, and yeah, it came out at a time where it was kind of like in between two different eras of superhero films. You had a lot of the stuff going on in like the 90s and the early aughts, and then you had The Incredibles, and then like at post Incredibles, then you start getting like the early startings of like what the MCU is now. So, it came out in a perfect time because it wasn't superhero overload. But it is also like, I don't want to say it's like kind of like a, like, you mentioned Fantastic Four, and it is kind of just like a Fantastic Four, but it's, it's a full on family instead of like just four people that aren't really like family. But I'm also with Wade in the sense where it doesn't have any sort of emotional resonance with me, and maybe that's not like the only criteria we need to be looking for, because like I said, I think it is it's superb film, and I can watch it all the time. It's a safe watch kind of like, A Bug's Life. But I don't think it. I think it's just kind of, I don't know. I think it's very, I don't know, surface level. I don't think it's overly deep. And maybe, not every film has to be, but like, man, I don't know. We're like splitting hairs, and it's gonna.
Well, figuring out how to get 6 more off the list, it's gonna be difficult, exactly. And it's gonna take a lot of.
And I'll end it with this. If I met somebody who's never seen a Pixar film, Incredibles would not be one that I would tell them to watch. So there's that. Like, if I was thinking of like the gold standard, the pantheon of Pixar films, while amazing, that would not be first out of my mouth. Be like, oh, you should definitely watch this movie. I think it's a super fun, well written, well animated film, but I also think that any studio could have pulled it off. I don't think there's anything in it that makes it special for Pixar. So I'll end it with that. So what do you? Chelsea, what do you think?
I mean, I think it personally would really go really close towards the Mount Rushmore.
I'll ask you this: is it one of your do you think it would be on your 4? Like, if you did this list, would it be one of your do you think it has legs to make it to the 4?
Well, as my personal list, yes, and I thought of as a list of movies I would tell people to watch. Yeah. That would be Pixar. That it would go there.
Damn, Wade, what about you?
Well, now I'm just kind of looking at the list, kind of comparing it to other films. Like, would I put it above this one? Would I put it above this one?
Yeah, see, and it's hard too, because it's, part of this is personal preference, but then it's also like just like objective, like, quality filmmaking.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. There's like a fine line between like having opinions on those. So I think Incredibles is like a superbly crafted film, but in terms of like subjectivity and emotional like resonance, like it doesn't stand for me. So it's kind of
better
hard.
than Soul.
All right, let's calm down.
I'll take that.
I would most definitely put Soul over Incredibles, like 1,000,000,000%. Because I think I think Soul at the end of the day has a more meaningful message to the viewer than The Incredibles does.
Do you think all the ones on our list have a meaningful message?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I think our list right here, these 10 films, I think all these are like, they're all like, top of the game, peak films for animated films. But there's still like half of these I don't think stand on the ground of like having any sort of like lasting power after watching, in terms of like having meaningful or emotional or deeper conversations about it.
I think it might be safe for now to just go ahead and move on, and let Chelsea have a swing at the list.
All right. Well, you can't nominate Soul again, so.
No, don't.
Should we highlight the ones that we've? Oh God, that's an awful color. I'm gonna highlight the ones that have already been nominated that haven't yet been completely cut, and we'll circle back to them.
Okay, so I'm still trying to cut a movie, not completely nominate one.
Cut.
That would
Yeah. We're
okay.
Just cutting.
We're still cutting. Okay.
Unless you have one that you want to nominate, you can do. I guess you can go either way. We're in the top 10, so I guess it doesn't really matter at this point.
Well, I don't know. Do you guys want me to? I mean, I think it's one I would love to nominate. I think Toy Story should be on
the top
Mount Rushmore.
I agree.
Yeah. Because
now, hold on. Before you even, is this viewing through rose-tinted glasses?
No. It's not just that.
I was just asking, because it is the
Yeah.
OG.
I know. Well, that's also what's amazing about it. Yes, it's the OG. I mean, it's the standard. It's where everything starts. That animation, because that was groundbreaking animation at the time, and it still holds up.
Yeah, do you remember
really,
watching
really well.
that movie, like, as a kid, just being like, oh my god.
I mean, I didn't watch it as a kid go, man, this animation's amazing.
No, because
Yeah.
we weren't thinking like that, just like, but
Right,
like,
exactly.
how it looks, though, you were probably registering something like, that looks really cool. You know,
Yeah.
like, because
Yeah.
at the time, we were still used to just cartoons, you know?
Yeah.
We didn't have these 3D CGI kind of deals. Not yet.
I feel like yeah, at the time viewing it, I never like even parsed that out as a difference. I was more just taken aback at just the storyline and the characters were just it's so enjoyable, you know.
And did you all have a Buzz Lightyear action figure or a Woody doll? Come on now.
Oh, Woody.
Come on.
I did not.
Woody. I wanted to be a cowgirl when I was younger, so I was heavily influenced by this movie.
Yes, I also had a Woody doll.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and ask this a follow-up.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you think Toy Story is better than Toy Story 3, or do you think both of them belong on the Rushmore? Because if you don't, then we can go ahead and eliminate 3.
If I had to pick
Oh,
between
it's
the
way
two,
better than
then Toy Story 1 needs to stay.
Yes. Without a doubt.
Okay.
I will keep going supporting Toy Story 1.
I'm totally fine taking off Toy Story 3 and for Toy Story.
So everybody agrees on Toy Story. Toy Story is here to stay.
I think Toy Story's here to stay. This is like a weird one. This is a weird one for me, just in the sense that I don't really think this film, kind of like how I was arguing against The Incredibles, where it didn't have any sort of like, any sort of emotional hold on me. I think a lot of it is nostalgic, and just like it's the foundation for this studio, and maybe that's enough. But yeah, I mean, I can watch that. You know, watching it then and watching it fairly recently, you know, my son's 1.5, so we've pretty much watched all these films. So they're all still fairly recent in my mind. And yeah, Toy Story, like, I think everything else about it is just so well done. Like, every single character is great, and the story is fantastic. Sid is an amazing, like, the villain, the foil. Like, everything about that film sings. I think it's enough to put it on a pedestal, even though I don't think it has any sort of, like, emotional, like, underpinning for me. Like, it didn't do anything for me. Like, it is like a, you know, like friendship and acceptance and stuff like that. Like, it just, yeah, I don't know. There's other films on this list that do have like an emotional grab on me, and I've already cut one of them, so because it lacked all the other elements of like great characters and great storyline and stuff like that, you know.
Well, we have 1 out of our 4 then.
All right,
Ethan, your turn, bud.
I say Ratatouille. I think Ratatouille is kind of in the same boat as The Incredibles. I think it's really well animated. I think it's a good story, good characters. It's got some good writing. It doesn't really have any sort of like lasting power to me. Like, I watched it, and I didn't think any more about it afterwards. You know.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too.
Damn, that was easy.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Yeah, right. All right, so it's back to you.
Okay.
Wade.
All right. Okay, so how about Wall-E?
Ooh, shit. You guys are picking all my favorites.
I'm not saying that I don't love
I'm spending
Wall-E.
so much time defending.
I love Wall-E.
I love
God,
Wall-E
I love Wall-E
too.
so much.
I love Wall-E too, but I'm comparing it up against like one or two other of these movies, and I'm just like, but it's not going to beat this out. It's not going to beat this out.
I don't know, man. I think WALL-E is, like, in my mind, that was like my number 2 behind Toy Story.
You think so?
Yeah. Just what they were able to... WALL-E might be one of their riskiest films in terms of there's very little dialogue. It's a lot of just visual storytelling, and it relies heavily on like audio cues.
I love that. I actually love that so much about the movie.
And that's for like that for a studio to take that kind of risk and just pull it off in flying colors is just amazing. Like no other, you don't see DreamWorks or Sony or whatever the hell Warner Brothers animation is called or whatever shit. Like no other studio would do that. Like that's a Pixar, like that's an art form, and they went with it. And I think in terms of just like just sheer artistic prowess, like WALL-E is like one of the best. And that film just had, like, allegorically speaking, like talking about like being good stewards to the earth, and like it has a lot of thematic elements to it that also resonate and have a very good message for adult audiences as well. And WALL-E may be one of the most like recognizable Pixar characters as well. So I don't know. I would definitely put that on my Mount Rushmore for sure. Like 100%.
Chelsea, how do you feel?
I personally love this movie. It's definitely one of my favorite Pixar movies.
Yeah.
But I was a little hesitant about putting it on like a Mount Rushmore of this. I don't know. I guess I just didn't have enough to say about it to really prove it could deserve a spot. But I
that's kind of where I
wouldn't complain if it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, like, for me, the only reason I feel like it, like I think the reason it is accelerated is because it is such a different type of film that no one would make. Like I think on just risk alone and the quality level that they were able to pull off on taking this huge risk, like I think that amplifies its credibility. Like if I was telling someone hey, this is what sets Pixar apart, this would be a film that I would tell them, this is what sets Pixar apart. 3/4 of that film is just visual storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So not exactly a beginner-friendly movie, but definitely something that you would insist that they watch. Like outside of being just a Pixar movie.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I think of Pixar, like Pixar is different than every other studio because of movies like this. You know, this is what sets them apart from just making your Shreks and your Hidden Dragons or whatever the fuck that is. Legends of the Hidden Dragons or whatever that movie is.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, whatever.
I've never seen
like
it. Like
this film is what makes Pixar like a top echelon studio, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not here to make kids movies. They're here to make art, kind of thing.
Yeah, like WALL-E to me is like more like art than it is a kid film. But it works as a kid's film because WALL-E is like one of the cutest characters. I remember working at the theater, Wade. I don't know if you were there at the time, but they had that huge WALL-E like animatronic standee in the lobby.
No, I was still in Mexico, I think, at that point.
Yeah, we had this huge like massive like 12-foot tall like WALL-E standee that was like fully 3D animatronic. It was like motion sensor, and so kids would walk by, he would like go WALL-E, you know. Like, and kids like ate that shit up. Like they just being able to say the character's name over and over and over, and just like the subtle expressions with just like the character's eyes, and you knew what he was feeling without having to say anything, without like any sort of other like direction towards it. Like it's a huge success and a huge gamble for a kid's film, you know.
No, was WALL-E a Pokemon?
What? I mean, you would know more than we would.
He says his name as he talks. And he's expressive, and kids love him.
Well, if he is, he's the last Pokemon, because Earth was fucking destroyed.
you got Eve too, so you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and even their relationship, like, they don't ever, like, really say anything to each other besides their own name, and you've, like, just, like, I don't know, man.
Beautiful love story.
Everything about it. Everything about that film is brilliant.
Maybe we should keep that one, and we'll let Chelsea take another crack at it.
Yeah, we'll highlight that one blue. Honestly, here, I'll make this easy for you, Chelsea.
Okay.
If we put Wall-E on the Rushmore, then we can lose Soul.
That's fine with me.
Wade?
I will agree, but I will remember this.
Trust me, dude. This isn't gonna. This is gonna cut me just as much as it cuts you.
Okay, but if you take Soul off, you have to take Coco off.
Whoa! Hold on. We haven't even talked about Coco. Slow your shit, all right?
No. There's another movie that I want to attack later.
Wait.
Oh, Chelsea's got her eyes set on something else?
Oh yeah, I
sure.
do.
Okay.
There are two movies I do not want on this list.
Okay,
hold on. Hold on.
I kind of want to watch this movie then, so. Okay, you can. I will allow it.
All right, so we'll get rid of Soul, which literally kills my soul because I love that movie. But I think it's going to be easier
Wall-E renews it.
I think it's easier to put Wall-E on the Rushmore than try and stay up all night fighting for Soul.
Yeah, probably.
But I would say anyone who hasn't seen that film, please go watch it. Especially if you're super insecure like I am. Like, that film is amazing. Alright, so Chelsea... Or is it my turn now since Soul is technically your cut?
Yeah, you guys can go on.
Okay. I will say... Dang. I mean, the one I want to get rid of, I can't because it's highlighted. So
we can make some compromises.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Let's save that. Let's save that for a second. I'll go ahead.
I'll remove it for another movie to be removed too from the list.
Whoa, Jesus Christ! Daggers out over here, just slicing and dicing. I'll go ahead and nominate this film just because out of what's remaining, it's also one that I think is like a near perfect film in terms of its writing and characters and animation and everything. But maybe doesn't hit as hard as the rest of these do, minus The Incredibles. And that would be Monsters, Inc.
Not Boo.
I know, man.
But you're removing it or you're adding it?
Removing.
I
know, right? But I don't know, man. I it's hard for me too because I love Monsters Inc. It may be on my like personal list of like most watched, and just I love it. But do I put it on the gold standard for Pixar films? No.
You know, I think I can agree with you. Times are hard.
Chelsea,
times are hard.
Times are hard. All right, Chelsea seems salty, so state your case on why you do think it's gold standard or a Mount Rushmore film.
I mean, honestly...
Well, hold on. Before you even start. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I'm extremely rude, I know. But you literally cut my soul, so... so, fucking gloves are off. Do you think Monsters, Inc. is better than The Incredibles?
I was gonna say, I would give up The Incredibles to keep Monsters, Inc.
Oh.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
We can get rid of Incredibles.
And kapow.
Okay. All right, Wade, it's back to you.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh.
Because Incredibles was the one I wanted to cut.
Okay, so I'm not bringing up.
It was his true colors.
I'm not bringing this up as a like argument. Like, okay, we're gonna put this movie up on the pedestal next, and we can discuss it and decide what to do with it. How about that?
Oh, you're just highlighting it for conversation?
Like, this movie hasn't been talked about yet, so it needs to go in a direction or not.
Well, you gotta tell me.
What's your direction?
Yeah, tell me what direction you think it deserves, and I'll tell you if you're wrong or not.
Well, that's fine. I wouldn't expect anything else. I'm gonna go with Finding Nemo as maybe not being in the Mount Rushmore.
Ooh. It's another one of those father-son films.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful film.
Buddy, we all got daddy issues. It's fine. It's fine. I get
this
it.
one,
I get it.
Hey, it has nothing to do with, like, not just that.
I was just responding
Finding
to
Nemo
you for this thing, that's all.
It's iconic. Finding Nemo is iconic. You think of Pixar, one of the movies you think of is Finding Nemo.
But I will counter that. Is that just because it is one of its earliest successes, or like as someone who's like a new Pixar fan today, would they immediately think of Finding Nemo? You know what I mean? Because it's kind of hard for us to parse that out because we were like that target audience when Pixar started. You know, when they first like started coming out with these bangers year after year. So for us, growing up with Pixar, like, it is iconic for us, but I have to think of, like, as a whole, all 24 films, is it iconic? I don't know.
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, and I think with this, like, sequel, Finding Dory, it brought the characters back to light again for, like, kids nowadays and stuff.
Not a terrible film, but it's...
I mean, that's what happened, but...
Yeah, I mean, oh God, Finding Nemo is just... It is a beautiful film. It's serene. It's calming. Like, everything about the music is incredible. All the characters are incredible. The story's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we only have 4 movies left, like, on the regular list here.
I know.
We have 2 that we now have not talked about. Should we just talk about the other 2 and then make an overall decision about the remaining 2 in our Rushmore?
I'm ready to attack.
Okay, attack.
Yeah, Chelsea's... she's...
Go ahead.
She's got some vitriol.
Up has got to go.
Up's got to go. Why does Up have to go?
That's also another movie that, people said really resonated with them. I didn't think it did. Some people
Chelsea,
love to give
do
the
you have
first couple minutes credit.
Are you an emotional
Yes,
contrarian?
I do.
I feel that right. Chelsea's coming across as a
There's 3 movies that I would go to jail for, and you are tossing them in the $2 bin, like underneath the bin. I'm starting to take it a little personally.
I honestly thought Up would be like a general consensus.
That's why I hadn't touched it yet, because I was like,
that's why I hadn't touched it either, because I was like, I was like, this film is
No.
Oh my gosh, Chelsea.
Are you a contrarian in the sense that, like, it's kind of like the Avatar syndrome, where that film came out and everyone's like, oh, I had to go to therapy because that film was so beautiful, so you automatically have to hate it because it's, like, so,
because people were
like,
being
over
so
talked about.
Okay, that movie wasn't beautiful. We can talk about that another time, why I didn't like that movie.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
It was just fine for me, and I just thought most of the movie was annoying. Russell's annoying in the movie. It's just, I don't know.
Well, it's kind of
the
that
characters
thing with
just
Soul, where you gotta they gotta have the kid part in there somewhere,
Yeah.
so that you're not just sent home in a body bag.
Yeah, but look what we already have on our Mount Rushmore. We have Twister and Wally.
Mm-hmm.
You could say those characters are charming.
Mm-hmm.
They have, there's really not a lot to be annoyed about
But
in those movies.
You're
but when it
telling
comes
me that
to
my
Up,
boy Kevin's not great.
yes. Sorry. It just does not resonate with me. That movie is just an okay movie. I just don't think it deserves to be on Mount Rushmore.
That movie hits me in so many emotional spots that a lot of people probably wouldn't understand unless they've gone through something like that. So it's really hard for me to come at this objectively. I don't think
Can't attack you for that.
I don't think any other films on this list besides Up do hit me on an emotional level as much as Up does. Now, I will agree with
Coco?
Chelsea where I don't think like not all the characters in Up are super great, but it's also like, you know, kind of like with Soul, like it's almost like they had to like try a little too hard to try and bring it back down to a family friendly film. Because I feel like that was another one of those where maybe like in pre-production and writing, it kind of like got away from them. They're like, oh wait, shit, this is a Disney film. We have to like kind of bring it back a little bit. So they had to kind of like overcompensate a little bit, and maybe they overcompensated too much, if that makes sense.
Mm.
But like, I think the peaks and valleys for that film, I think it has higher highs than anything left on this list. Yep.
Should
I don't know if you'd be that bold to say that. I mean, because I could just throw Coco up there with Up and just compete.
You don't like Coco either?
No, I know I love Coco. No, I'm saying, you know,
I was like,
you don't
I'm
think that
pretty
movie
sure...
resonates with emotions? Now that's strong. That deals with almost.
No, yeah. In this household, we watch Coco all the time. That's like one of Atlas's favorite films, mostly because of the music.
Aw.
But yeah, Coco is it's played almost too much in this household. but yes, I 100% love that film. But I think Up just like I feel like I'm the target audience for that story. If that makes sense.
But do you think it will resonate as well with everyone?
Right.
Like
and that's
Toy Story and WALL-E does.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's really hard to, like, this is what I'm talking about earlier, when you take, like, your personal feelings and then just, like, objectively as a film. Like, it's really hard to, like, separate those two.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I kind of go back to the WALL-E point that I made earlier in regards to Up, where pushing that amount of emotion, especially within the first 20 minutes of that film, is pretty bold for them.
You got to start somewhere.
Right.
But that's all it has going for
boom,
it.
That's where we're at. Well, but then you have, you know, you got to get Carl back to the place of wanting to continue living, really. And that's where Kevin comes in. Kevin's a great foil for Carl. And getting him to open back up and accept other people back into his life instead of just
and also just the idea
away,
of like,
basically.
yeah, the idea of like moving on is a strong undercurrent in that film, you know. And that's something that like really like resonates hard with me. So, but like I said, that's like a very like personal thing that only like I would grasp onto. More so than a casual audience. So yeah, I mean, oof. Like I said, I would put Up on there over really anything else. But it's I can see the knocks against it, in terms of just like when you look at it more objectively, not everything. Is a home run in that film. So, I don't know. Wade, what do you what do you think? You're kind of like the media. You're the middle.
Well, I mean, when it comes to Up, I wouldn't put it below Coco. Coco is great, and it does so many wonderful cultural things, and like the concept of like the death and stuff like that is. Like that's all very important, but I feel like if we look at like Carl's journey and then the main character from Coco's journey, like I feel that the main character from Coco, like the emotions, like he's not there for the emotional aspect of the movie. That's more like his grandma or his great grandma or whoever it is, and like her husband. It's not it's not like emotional reconciling for him. He just wants to be able to do what he wants in his life without being told that he can't.
It's kind of like it's very much a film kind of like you want to like go against tradition. You want to like pave your own way. You don't want to just be told like, oh no, we're shoemakers, so we make shoes. It's like, no, I love music. Like, well, fuck you. We don't like music here. We make shoes.
And while that the message and the story is important, I can't put it above Up.
Yeah, I would agree with you because I feel like in Coco, a lot of the heavy hitting is from the side characters. And there's some scenes in Coco that are just like pretty early on when they're in the underworld or whatever you would call it, where they go to see that guy who has the what does he have, I can't remember why they go see that like old drunk dude now. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I can't remember why they go see him, but like he asks him to play him a song before he like actually dies. Like, that scene is incredible.
Yeah, for sure. And that was one of the first like major moments of the film. We were like,
right,
oh, that's what we're here for.
Right. But it also, like you said, it's just kind of like, it doesn't really, it's not for the protagonist. It's just kind of there to like set the stage for the conflict. Like it's kind of there to establish like you have a like what the conflict in the film is. Like there's a fight, like if you are not remembered, then you're not going to last here. You're going to actually die. So like that, like it's an emotional scene, but it's basically just there as like a story device to kind of set the stage for the overall conflict. It's not necessarily just for it's not an emotional scene just for the protagonist. It's more for the viewer, I guess. So I don't know. I would say Up is definitely higher up for me than Coco. I mean, like I said, I think Up is the last, like, I thought Up would be like the only surefire besides Toy Story. Like, going into this, I was like, all right, Toy Story and Up are going to automatically be on this list, and we're going to have to find 2 more. So it's like blowing my mind that I'm sitting here having to like
having this conversation,
having to fight for it. So I don't know. I guess Chelsea, I need like a really passionate debate on why you hate this film.
Like, why I hate Up?
Yeah, give me your final plea to the jury.
Why does it deserve to not exist over Coco?
Yeah, exactly. Or over any of the rest of them. Like, why does it? Because that's basically what we're deciding at this point. Like, why you want to eliminate it.
That movie just, it didn't resonate with me.
I'm beginning to realize.
Many times I've watched.
I'm beginning to think you.
It just
don't
didn't
have
like
feelings.
it. Okay, I am not the only one who felt this way about this movie. I know other people who did not love this movie as much as some people did, and I can give it some credit that yes, the first 10-20 minutes of the movie, that's great and everything, but the rest of the movie needs to hold up too. It can't just rely on just the beginning of a movie, because we're looking at Pixar movies as a whole, and all these movies, their story like really carries throughout it, and I can definitely understand how the story resonates with people, and I think it's really good that Pixar is able to make all these movies that just resonate with everybody in different ways. I think that's really great. It's just, I just don't think it has enough to make it to Mount Rushmore. But like I said, I am just one person, and I am one of 3 that has this opinion. Yes. And so I just.
All right, so let's go about this a different way. Chelsea, why don't you nominate what you would think, like what your next Mount Rushmore film would be? Well, let's go at that direction.
Oh man. That's hard because I'm actually kind of surprised with some of them that actually made the top list.
Yes, we all know.
I'm not complaining. No. What? What'd you just say?
Are you talking about what made the Rushmore already, or are you talking about what's in the final four?
No, what's in the final four? I'm kind of
Oh.
surprised. You know, I'm
Yeah,
not
I am
complaining.
too. I'm surprised Soul is not there, but we all
I'm still
we all get
I'm still
gut
sitting
punched.
on that egg. Don't worry.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I will nominate Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo is a Rushmore film.
Yes.
All right, so Finding Nemo over Monsters Inc., Up, and Coco as a Mount Rushmore film.
Sure.
So is this list Toy Story, Wall-E, Finding Nemo, and Coco? Is that the list?
For Chelsea or for everybody?
For the final Rushmore.
I mean, I wouldn't put Coco on mine.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Coco on mine either. All right,
But
so
that means everybody's fine with Finding Nemo?
it's really hard for me to find a knock against Finding Nemo. So maybe yes.
Wade, think you were hesitant about Finding Nemo?
I don't know. Like, for Finding Nemo, I'm comparing Finding Nemo to Monsters Inc. because they're similar.
Yeah,
and if
for sure.
between the two, I'd rather have Monsters Inc. But I can't. It's hard to compare like Finding Nemo and Up versus Finding Nemo or Coco.
Yeah.
That's just how my brain's kind of been doing. It's been kind of
No,
pairing
I'm-
similar movies up and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it also doesn't, I think Up and Coco are trying to achieve different things than what Monsters Inc. and Finding Nemo were.
Yeah, they're different movies. They're different kinds of movies.
So like pairing those two sets up, like it also makes sense in my brain. So it comes down to, is Monsters Inc. better than Finding Nemo or vice versa?
Ooh.
Yeah. I would probably say Monsters Inc. is better than Finding Nemo.
I think that's where I would go to, question mark.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I think they're both really great.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
let's be clear. Everything on this list is like a damn near perfect film. They're real, like, just in terms of just like pure enjoyment, like sitting down and enjoying a film. So yeah, it's starting to get down to like nitty gritty with this. And with that being said, I do think Monsters Inc. holds up better than Nemo.
So are we moving
I'm
Monsters
okay with
Inc.
that.
up? Are we elevating it? Is it reaching a higher
I give it
state
a
of
yes.
existence?
Yeah, I would say Monsters Inc.'s a Rushmore film.
Okay. All right, folks, here we go.
I mean, it's not. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's get rid of Nemo then. What is what?
Mind your business.
That's unique.
Mind your business.
All right. So our final Rushmore slot is either going to go to Up or Coco.
You guys can battle it out.
I say Up.
I have
100%.
I already have 2 shots in the heart that says Up. I already had to compromise with 2 other ones, so
Yeah. I feel like I lost all my other emotional films, so I feel like if I don't get Up on this list, I may not sleep tonight.
Just put it on the list.
Okay.
It can go on the list.
Bike
Now, is that
Coco.
because is that because you legitimately think Up is better than Coco
What?
in terms of, or you just don't want
Not
to, you don't
super
want
much.
to, or you don't want to argue with
wanna-
us?
No, I want to compromise with you guys. You
Oh,
guys
that's
have given
sweet.
a lot of valid reasons for why Up should be on the list, and I respect it. And so,
So we convinced you, is what you're saying.
I respect your choices.
All right.
Fair
But
enough.
I can be happy with our Mount
That's-
Rushmore.
Yeah, that's
as
the
a whole.
closest I'm ever
So-
going to get to Chelsea saying she was wrong.
So our Mount Rushmore is shut up. Toy Story, Wall-E, Monsters Inc., and Up.
Does everybody?
There we have it.
Do you feel good about this list?
Did I crush your guys' hopes and
I
dreams?
feel
now?
like I feel like there's a little bit of a void missing, but I'm glad Up made it. I didn't think I would have.
You lost your soul.
Yeah, exactly. Literally lost my soul. I didn't think I would have to put up a fight for Up. I honestly thought that was like a surefire. So yeah, that's interesting. And I didn't think Monsters Inc. would make it, but here we are.
Right?
I was surprised that Wally made it, but I was perfectly fine with
Chelsea,
that.
Hey, as long as we
can
all
do
got a surprise.
Next time, similar deal. We can do top, or we can do like one best. So singular one, best Pixar movie that's been in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Like the world.
Okay.
Like which world was best? That
Isn't
could
there only
that
one
could be next time.
Pixar?
Oh wait, is there?
Yeah.
No, Toy Story.
Oh wait, no, there's two. There's two. Yeah, it's Toy Story and Monsters Inc.
Yeah, well, you guys have fun with that conversation when I'm not on the episode.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying, in Monsters Inc., you get to see Vanitas get, as the internet says, yeeted through a door. So
That's a beautiful world.
that was pretty amazing. Not that Toy Story wasn't, because it's about damn time it made it into Kingdom Hearts. But hey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, okay, enough with this episode has too much Kingdom Hearts as it is.
Wow. As in zero.
Did
Kingdom Hearts.
Did
You're
Kingdom
missing
Hearts...
your heart. Are you heartless?
Yes,
Nah,
I am,
Ethan's a
because you
nobody.
took it. I'm a soulless.
Nah, he's just a nobody.
Did Kingdom Hearts just replace this podcast Dragon Ball slot, or what are we doing here?
Today, maybe. we haven't brought it back to Dragon Ball today, so we still got.
We have not.
We got a small amount of time to work with.
Well, you guys just said it, so that's it. Now we can move on.
We brought it up. We brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, Pixar Mount Rushmore. That's we have many more Mount Rushmores to discuss in future episodes. So this was a good test for us. And yeah, I'm happy with it. Toy Story, WALL-E, Monsters Inc., and Up is the official podcast demastered Pixar Mount Rushmore. And with that being said, we can move on to the final segment of the show, which, if anyone's been listening, they know we are going to discuss the latest episode of Loki. So, what'd you guys... I'm assuming everyone watched it. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's caught up?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so who wants to go first? What are your impressions?
Do you want me to be a downer again?
I feel like that's the theme of that's the theme of this episode, Chelsea. So just keep it going.
Lay it on out.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like a filler episode almost. I'm like, what? This show is 6 episodes long, and we're already at a filler.
I mean, it's.
I mean,
and that feeling. I get that feeling, and it's kind of bizarre because if you lay out like what happens in the episode about learning more about Sylvie and things like that, if you lay out the facts of the episode, you'd be like, oh, no, these are important things. But then you come out of the episode and you're just like, okay, but not a lot happened in a way. Like, it's probably just set up for the next episodes.
Yeah, it's definitely got set up feel to it. It's also the shortest out of the 3. It was only like 40 minutes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely feels short. Like, I feel like by the time the episode actually started getting interesting, the credits rolled.
For real. And I'm really curious
what
to
the
see where
shit
it's
did I
going to
just
start
watch?
next. Like what on earth is going to happen next? And starting there on a new episode is probably a good idea, but like, damn, man.
Yeah, and I feel like the first 2 episodes had really good character dynamics between Loki and Mobius in terms of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a full episode of Loki and Sylvie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that dynamic, that like chemistry is not there at all. Like, I don't know what it is, but it just was like cringe and awkward. I don't know if it was supposed to be cringe and awkward, but it felt cringe and awkward the whole time.
I would agree with that.
I don't know if it's because I don't know if it's because like if it's intentional because they're like the same person but not, time variant nonsense, or if it's just me not really latching on to Sylvie as a character. But I don't know. There wasn't really anything in this episode besides a few nuggets of just kind of like world building that seemed interesting to me.
Yeah,
and honestly, the whole episode looked super cheap.
Oh, it was so bad.
Like it looked really like can they not get the same like virtual screen or whatever that they used to shoot the Mandalorian? Is that not something that they can get over at Marvel? Because those backdrops and settings look fucking awful.
See,
like I love the
you will have a better eye than I do at these things.
It was like a CW show.
Oh,
yeah,
oh God!
right?
Don't say that. I know what
It
that
was
means.
so
Sorry,
bad.
it was. It was very noticeable.
Oh,
it was
See, I
super
didn't notice
noticeable.
it. I didn't I noticed the CW shows all the time, but I didn't notice it in this one. But
I feel like they tried covering up a lot of it with like a lot of these like purple hues to try and like mask how shitty it was. But my God.
Well, maybe it worked on me. Maybe, but you all are the ones that focus more on that stuff, though. Like, if it catches my eye, I'll pick it up. But I'm not like I'm not actively analyzing those things throughout stuff unless they're that bad. So. Yeah,
see, it's really hard for me to like. That's why it's hard for me to watch TV and film and stuff like that, because I do look at it on a technical level.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do the same thing with music
stuff like
and stuff, so I understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like, when stuff like that, it's almost like distracting, and I can't even concentrate on what's happening because I'm just staring at, like, how shitty it looks. That's why I don't really watch, like, TV shows and, like, broadcast cable and stuff like that, or Sci-Fi Channel, because they all just are so bad looking. Production values are, like... It's like watching student films. They can have the greatest stories and, like, and arcs and all this shit, but I cannot... Like, they'd be better audiobooks for me because I cannot look at that crap. And it was hard for me to even comprehend this episode of Loki because the entire episode, even the costume design was shitty. He was wearing, like, a purple sweater and, like, a biking helmet or whatever. Like...
Oh,
so
that
weird.
part,
It seemed just incredibly cheap. I'm like, you're fucking Disney and Marvel. You literally, like, print your own money.
Yeah, I was like, where's that money in this?
Yeah, are you spending it all on The Mandalorian? Because that show looks amazing. And that's sci-fi and fake worlds and everything else, and it doesn't have, like, these kind of shoddy production values. So, that was, like, really hard for me to, like, not focus on. Like, really, the only interesting thing about that episode is, like, early on when it was, like, kind of like the Marvel equivalent to, like, Inception, where she's, like, in that girl's, like, memories or whatever, trying to, like, get information from her.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was, like, probably the most interesting part about, like, that little tidbit of information of how she's, like going into their, like, mind and to try and extract information. Like, that little tidbit right there was probably the best thing about that episode. But otherwise, like, God, I don't know. It was... And it was, like, super strong, like, Majora's Mask moon colliding into the planet vibes. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ, someone's a fucking Zelda fan at the writer's room. So, yeah, I don't know. For a show that's literally, like you said, 6 episodes, like, I don't expect filler. It's 6 episodes. If you're already getting filler episodes, you should have just made a movie.
Right.
Exactly.
So.
Well, hopefully it'll improve.
Yeah.
Or get back to how it was. But also Mobius wasn't in this episode, so maybe that's what we were really missing.
Yeah, maybe this show is just highlighting the fact that I'm in love with Owen Wilson. Because, like, the first 2
You
episodes...
need to give Cars a second chance.
Ooh, let's not. We set the list.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, no, it didn't say it should be there on that list.
Okay.
But...
Speaking of Owen Wilson, this threw me off. So I bet they posted stuff like from the showrunner. She's like, yeah, Owen Wilson's not gonna have his like his famous line where he says like, "Wow," right? Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
I could have swore he already said it in the show.
Nope. Has not said it yet.
Like I guess
I haven't noticed.
I guess when I think of Owen Wilson, I maybe just like maybe I hear it diegetically, you know.
It's like, oh, that fits in really well right there. I guess he said it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So when that popped up, I was like, what are you talking about? He said it in the first episode. So that like, threw me off. So yeah. But yeah, this show needs more Mobius and less Sylvie. So hopefully she I don't know. Or maybe hopefully that improves, because she's like super just like flat as well. Like she doesn't seem very interesting to me, besides like, oh yeah, she's a good fighter. And oh, this is the other rant I was gonna have. And this is not just for Loki, this is kind of just in general. If you're gonna give a character a sword, and then in all their fight scenes, they don't use the sword to fucking kill anyone, why have a sword? That drives me crazy. It's like, oh, we're gonna make this, she's gonna have this badass sword, and then she's like kicking people, and she has a sword in one hand and she'll like punch somebody. I'm like, you have a sword, you could have just cut that dude in half. Like, I get it's a Disney
kids show.
I get it, but then in your pre-production, don't have the prop department make her a fucking sword. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same with like Loki's daggers. He always has these daggers. He never once uses them. He just
flips them around.
Yeah, he flips them around and then they evaporate, and then he starts punching, throwing people. I'm just like, I don't understand the point of like giving these characters weapons if you know full well they're not going to use them for the way that weapon is intended for its use. You know what I mean? It seems so dumb to me.
I think it's even funnier because they're like, you know, kind of the villains, and they don't even use their weapons.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we got these room full of people. It's close quarters. This is like the time to use a sword, but instead I'm just gonna like push people against the wall and bash their head against the, you know, throw them out the window or whatever. Like, she literally could have just killed all those guards with her sword.
My favorite part was when Loki got thrown out the window.
Yeah.
And she just dives right out after him. I was like, get it, girl. Oh, oh my gosh.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was a whatever episode, you know?
Yeah, let's see where the next episode leads us, and we may feel better about it after that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of those things where you gotta wait for like the whole thing to be unfolded before you can, like, you know, reserve your judgments for the final credits kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it's already given me kind of like strong like WandaVision vibes, where I felt like early on in WandaVision it was like incredible, and then it was like, oh, this is going off the fucking rails quick. So, and this is like, you know, even shorter than those shows. So if it's already like you're halfway through it and you're already off the rails, like, that gives me doubt.
Not good.
So I don't know. For moving forward for Disney, please up the budget for these things. Jesus Christ. If you're going to have a show about Loki and he's jumping through time and he's, you know, he's got magic powers and all this stuff, maybe give it a little bigger budget than you did Falcon and Winter Soldier. Because production-wise, that film or that show looked a million times better. Granted, it's rooted in reality, but even the effects work and stuff was better in that show than Loki so far. So, so yeah, that's my final thought.
Fair enough.
Definitely the low point of the series, but the series as a whole so far is still like really good. Yeah, I would say
we're on our way.
Like that episode wasn't bad enough to be like, wow, this is a complete shit. Like, I'm not watching anymore. Like, I'm still intrigued on where they're going story wise, but
definitely
this episode seemed, I don't know, almost unnecessary. So. But like Wade said early on, I'm sure this is just like basically just like a huge build up for like the second act kind of thing, But in terms of like viewing these episodically, it doesn't sit well, It'd be different if it was a film and you're watching it all at once, and like there's that little lull in the middle of the film, whatever, that makes sense. But like when you're watching episodic and you have to wait a week to get the next episode, like it just kind of sucks that one of the episodes is blah. So.
All right, well, that sounds about like that's a good place to wrap up our episode for the evening.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So, with that being said, leave us only 5 stars. And,
it's not 5 stars, we don't want it. Take that somewhere else.
Yeah, if it's
please.
not 5 stars, put that review somewhere else. And if you want, you can tell us your favorite game or film or TV show or book or whatever, and
you can tell us how
questions.
we tragically murdered this Pixar Mount Rushmore.
Please feel free to send all of your vitriol to Chelsea.
Oh man, I'm ready for it. Bring it.
But we would love to communicate and respond to you all. So please let us know what you think and how you feel and what your choices are too.
Exactly. And if you guys have any questions you want to send us, or comments or corrections, or anything, you can email us at demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at poddemastered. And thank you guys for listening to this not super gaming related episode, and look forward to more not super gaming related episodes in the future.
We got plenty to talk about, folks. Stick around.
All right, that's it. See ya.
Peace.